Malta reacts to pre-election checks arriving at home. ABBA files police report against abortion activists and doctors. And a Russian-funded TEATRU MANOEL performance has been branded as ironic after a Ukrainian theater was bombed. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo. Johnathan Chile here, joined by Julian Bonici. Happy St. Patrick's Day if you do celebrate that holiday, or if you are considering going out to Spinola Bay later on today. But before that, we've got the latest news and analysis from the 2022 general election campaign. And Julian is here with details on our top story. Julian?
Yes, so all our top story has to do today is the infamous checks that are being dished around Malta at the moment. If you've received one, let us know. But if you want to check two videos out on lovinmalta.com, two people really went super creative with the tax refunds coming to their doors. It all started off with one TikTok user, Julian, who basically uploaded a video waving these two checks in the air, singing the praises of the Labour Party and the Prime Minister, all to the tune of the famous communist song Bella Ciao. The video obviously quickly went viral, with over, I think 50,000 people by now have already watched it. Several people admittedly did call out the user, like saying, why are you celebrating, the tax refund, while others, obviously Labour supporters expressing their delight. The irony really of it all is what the words he was mouthing was actually a song written to take the mick out of fanatical Labour Party supporters. So make of that what you will. But it didn't stop there. A PN supporter, or at least I assume is a PN supporter, went to the other extreme. While Julian was singing the praises, this other user literally got the two checks, put up in the air, got a flamethrower and burned them to a crisp. Sort of telling him, telling the Prime Minister, is this how you're trying to buy my vote? This is what I'm going to do with them. Can't you see? Now, obviously, as we all know, both really comical. The checks are arriving, during a general election, which is admittedly quite controversial. They're sort of anywhere between, 100 euros and 200 euros, for people depending on benefits. That can have a real bearing on the result. Now, the two videos, as comical as they were, actually speak to quite an interesting reality in Malta, right? That you have Labour Party supporters who absolutely love sort of whatever the Prime Minister does, and the opposite end who absolutely sort of hate it and are willing to actually literally burn money sort of for the cause. I don't know what you think about it.
No,
John.
that's exactly it, Julian. So, these two reactions, praising the checks, doing a dance with the checks, as opposed to burning the checks, kind of shows the polarization of Maltese society, right? In 2022 and even, I think, in previous decades. Getting a check during election season is very questionable. However, burning it, as extreme as it is, I'm wondering what the effect is. I mean, it's a strong message. Don't get me wrong. If I was the Prime Minister, Robert Abela, seeing that video, I'd be like, oh, wow, I lost that guy. Clearly he's not going to vote for me. And it is your money to do what you will. However, I do say if you are intending to trash it or burn your check, maybe consider donating it. There is the Russian invasion of Ukraine happening right now and a myriad other causes, homelessness as well. So maybe if you are considering, throwing away your check, and you have every right to, consider donating it. And if you haven't seen these videos, check them out. They're on Lovin Malta's Instagram as well as Facebook. Moving on to another story that's been turning heads today. A new religious fundamentalist party, ABBA, has actually filed a police report over a swath of pro-choice activists, organizations, and doctors. So this is a very interesting story coming in the middle of the general election campaign. And we actually spoke to one of the groups that have been reported. They were reported over promoting abortion services on the island, which does remain illegal. And one organization that we spoke to, Doctors for Choice, which is a pro-choice organization made up by Maltese doctors, said that Partid ABBA were attempting to, quote, abuse the criminal justice system to harass pro-choice activists and criminalize the provision of information about abortion. Now, Lovin Malta also reached out to the police, the Malta Police Force, to kind of see, listen, are there any plans to take abortion activists to court, maybe even charge them with some kind of, charges? And the police said right now they're investigating all allegations of a criminal nature, which are brought to their attention. So very, very early days. But, this could technically escalate and see a number of people who have been speaking about increasing women's reproductive rights on the island hauled to court.
Yeah, no, and I think what this sort of whole story really brings a focus on, right, is that abortion in Malta still remains a criminal offence.
That's it.
Even though Marlene Farrugia presented a bill calling for its decriminalisation, not legalisation, just to be clear. At present, women who get abortions and even the doctors who give them to them are liable to a prison time. And I know it's not common, but really there have been, I think, over the last 15 years, correct me if I'm wrong, but about 3 women, right, who have been charged with actually getting an abortion. Interestingly, though, it sort of now has created a bit of a back and forth, right? So after this of ABBA, Alexander Dimitrovic, who sort of had actually raised concerns about it, has actually shared a post, literally identifying which MPs, which candidates for that matter, are resolutely pro-life. So at least the pro-choice candidates know where to go.
In fact, there were 37 candidates shared in this post, 32 from PN, 5 from the Labour Party. So he only spoke to, he mainly focused on the 2 mainstream parties. But yes, no, as you said, you've pushed them one way and now there's going to be the counter push. At the end of the day, abortion may have been taboo once upon a time, but I feel like Malta is really kind of discussing it now, even though it hasn't really reached a policy level yet.
Yeah, and I think interestingly, surveys show that the majority of people are actually in favour of decriminalisation. So keep that in mind, particularly with an election just a week and a half away. Yeah, super close. We all know over here. On to our next story, just to move on a little bit. We're speaking about Ukraine earlier, but obviously the invasion is still very much of reality and Malta is still dealing with the fallout from it. A well-known figure on the Maltese art scene and a former employee of Malta Arts Council has called out the irony of Russia bombing a theatre in Mariupol the same day a Russian-funded concert took place at the MANOEL Theatre. So Tony Artad was the one to sort of raise this issue on social media. It came after the Times of Malta reported that the Malta Philharmonic Orchestra will not be cutting ties with the concert, with in particular the Russian-Armenian benefactor who sort of spent millions on the event. The orchestra said they will not be cutting ties with Konstantin Ishkanov since he is Armenian, not Russian. However, official paperwork of the Malta-Russian Friendship Foundation, of which he forms part of, actually registers him as a Russian national. As we all know, at the moment, there are serious sanctions against the Russian government and several Russian oligarchs, but not all Russian people, very importantly to know. The orchestra does actually receive funding through the European Foundation for Support and Culture. However, it's sort of basically an institution run by Russia within Russia. Now, in 2019, Ishkanov was also awarded a prize by the Arts Council, and particularly for his exceptional contribution to Maltese cultural life. Now, it's a very taboo topic. I'm a bit torn about it, John. Where do you stand on it?
It's very interesting. So you've touched upon it very briefly. I do want to emphasize the point, even though Putin is doing some horrendous things right now in Ukraine, not all Russian nationals need to be tarred by the same brush. However, it is very questionable, and I'm not surprised questions are being raised over the fact that part of our art scene, the music section, is being funded by someone that's connected very strongly to Russia and is in fact Russian himself, even though he's trying to say he's Armenian. Now, like Julian said, there's no particular reason to believe that Ishkanov might be connected to Putin per se. However, it's only fair that questions are asked. There's a war happening right on Europe's borders, so I think Malta needs to kind of know what's exactly happening here. So I'm very happy that Tony Attard kind of raised this. Moving on to the next story, a story that kind of cut to the heart of Maltese society during election season. A father of a Maltese student has had to, open up and speak online after his daughter opened up about changing her voting preference after attending a debate between political leaders at the University of Malta recently. So you've probably seen the image, the girl, surrounded by her friends, just, lightly says, I attended the debate between Robert Abel and Bernard Grech. I went in saying Viva Labour and I came out supporting Bernard Grech. And fair enough, I think that's the point of a debate, right? So you kind of see where you really do stand. After this was released online, it was actually released by Newsbook, the girl faced a lot of harassment, and she's just a Maltese student. I mean, 15, 16, 17, 18, quite a young age, I can imagine. Her father, Silvio Grishti, stepped in saying, quote, I don't know how some of you are able to lay your head on your pillow and sleep at night. you threw so much abuse at this girl just because she said she changed her mind, which she said. And then he took it a step further, saying, listen, we're actually a strong Labour family. We all vote Labour, but I want my daughter to vote however she pleases. Her vote is her choice and her right alone. Now, a lot of people praise the father for kind of coming up, being open about his political allegiances and being clear, like, listen, no matter how I want to vote, my daughter is her own person. She gets to vote as she wants. And hats off to the girl for, you know, kind of having the courage to speak about it. It is still very, very, maybe a bit taboo to kind of speak so openly about your voting preference. You're seen as a hardcore if you are speaking about it. So it's great to see the daughter speaking about this, stepping away from the way her father or her family votes, regardless of how they vote, and her family supporting her for it.
No, yes, I think that's really a nice message, you know. I mean, I remember as well, young, I know I've never really voted how my family chooses, and really and truly, they've always supported me no matter what. Argued with me, yes, but supported me no matter
As it
what,
should
you know.
be.
And that, I think, is the really important message right out there, guys. You know, you don't have to follow your parents, you know, and even if somebody, even a friend, even, you know, doesn't agree with you politically, it's completely fine. Like, it's really, you know, support people who are trying to find their own mentality. As we all know out there, Malta is one of the most tribalistic places in the world, where people are divided into two teams. So really, we should be praising people like this who are so comfortable to speak openly, you know, that, hey, I was voting this way, now I'm voting this way. So props out there.
Hats off to the Grishti family.
Yeah, no, really, and good for him to stand up, you know, when he needed to. On to our last story, you know, we all love, you know, walking in nature, I think, in Malta, whatever little we have left. But this weekend, you know, there's going to be one walk by Moviment Graffiti that's going to be all designed to protecting WIED ZNUBER in Buja, which is actually currently threatened by plans for a miniature airstrip. The walk is happening this Saturday, 19th March at 10:30 a.m., starting off at the Church of Ben Isa in Buja, walking up all the way to where the airstrip is being proposed. Moviment Graffiti in a statement said, you know, as WIED ZNUBER and the surrounding area are seriously threatened by plans for a miniature airstrip, we'll be meeting up for a walk, joined by historians, biologists, who will actually, you know, give a little bit of a guide to the area's plants, animals, and even its historical relics. It's an amazing event, you know, for anyone to go, you know, even children can go and enjoy it, you know, and actually, you know, for us to get an opportunity to learn and appreciate our cultural and biological heritage, right? You know, we don't have much out there left, you know, and protecting every little space we can is of the utmost importance. If you haven't heard about the project, it was actually conducted in secret and without public consultation, and was announced about a month ago at the signing between a government agency Indus and the Airplane Model Association. A group of 16 local NGOs have recently united to stop the project, and, you know, let's hope it does. So, you know, areas like this need to be protected, and as the Marsa Scala Marina and other projects have recently shown, resident, activist, citizen community activism, is really going to achieve quite a lot of results.
WIED ZNUBER is a beautiful area. I think one of my Facebook profile pictures was actually taken there. Beautiful area. If you've never been, you should definitely check it out. The event is happening Saturday, 19th March at 10:30 a.m. organized by Moviment Graffiti. You can find it on their Facebook page as well as in our article. We've got links to it. You know, bring your family, bring your friends, bring your children, cousins. What's really interesting is that the 16 organizations that are, you know, supporting this push against the development represent so many people. You've got fishermen, you've got the Girl Guides, you know, you've got social and cultural groups. So it's a wide spectrum of people. So if you're looking for a nice morning out, maybe learn some history, explore the Garrig of Buja, definitely check this out.
And it's all for a good cause as well, you know, so really that's good to get behind.
I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. Both from myself and Julian, have an evening full of lovin'.